The Suicide Squad is an instant classic, and I can't wait to get started, really. What's up? It's Tech, it's GVN. Let's roll. Hey, welcome to GVN, where we review movies, series, animations, comics, and video games. Whether this is your first time or you're a returning viewer, what's up? So, like I said earlier, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. It's an instant classic. Like, from the very beginning, right? I mean, it's the Suicide Squad. So there was always that chance of this character might leave, this character might die in the end. And I'm pleased with the fact that James Gunn did not shy away from that. Like, he did not shy away from offing characters from the get-go at any point in the movie. And some of the deaths were pretty hilarious, really. I enjoyed the fact that James Gunn was able to deliver on that alone for starters. And then the way the different characters were introduced, the comedy was unforced, the action was unforced. Like, I'm just going to say it. Speaking of the action, it was gory. It was gory when it needed to be, and it was funny when it needed to be, and it totally delivered. See, James Gunn being the guy that made Guardians of the Galaxy, a tree that just says a phrase in an entire movie, and I'm speaking of Groot, and then a raccoon that speaks, Rocket Raccoon. For someone like James Gunn to have been able to bring something like that together, I knew that, hey, from the very beginning, this guy would deliver on the Suicide Squad, and I'm glad that I wasn't wrong, because I mean, hey, he's a human being, right? And we could make mistakes and all that stuff, but James Gunn really, he cemented his place as one of the directors that actually knows how to handle comic book characters and really deliver. And that was what he did in this movie. Like, the Suicide Squad, for me, for us here at GVN, it was a complete comic book movie, and it was a complete movie as a whole. You understand? So I like how all the characters, like I said earlier, were introduced. I like the way they all played their part. I like the way they all related with each other. Are you talking about John Cena's Peacemaker? Are you talking about Bloodsport, Idris Elba, Harley Quinn, Margot, Robbie, Viola Davis, Amanda Waller? Like, all these different guys came to the table with something, and they delivered. I mean, King Shark was so endearing in this movie too. See, I mentioned earlier that James Gunn did not shy away from offing people, right? And he did it in such a brilliant way that every single scene characters were in, it was probably going to be the character's last. Like, he did not care who it was. That's the funny thing about this thing. The Suicide Squad, as the name implies, the Suicide Squad, it's meant to involve a lot of death. That they delivered on the opposing side and even on their side. Like, people were just dying left and right, and the way the action was executed was just brilliant. Like, man, I really enjoyed this movie. I think you guys would too. It was definitely worth my time. It has a run time of 2 hours, 12 minutes, minus the credits, we say maybe 2 hours as a whole. And really, it delivered. When they say the director makes the movie, right? I mean, I know it all starts from the script, the screenplay, and then, the directors. And then the studios not butting in. And honestly, this time, even if the studios butted in, I think maybe they played a good role this time around, but I doubt if they did. I believe this movie was a vision from James Gunn, and it's one that stands by, unlike the last Suicide Squad movie where the director distanced himself from the movie as much as he could because he said that is not the movie he wanted to release. But this time around, this was a good movie, and this was one that really, really did deliver. There was a particular scene in the ending that made me go, like, really, I was like this for, like, I'm not even kidding, for a couple of seconds. And when you guys watch it, you're going to know what I'm talking about. But it was really nice. All the characters, really. Ratcatcher, Polka Dots Man, everybody that was casted in this movie and played a role. John Cena's Peacemaker, every single character was just deranged and just brilliant in their own way. Personally, I think DC has better heroes, better characters than Marvel. But see, one thing I think Marvel has, especially in the MCU more than DC, is better writers, better casting, and that is why they are really hitting it out of the park with all their releases. I'm going to say it, if the Suicide Squad, if DC is able to produce stuff like The Suicide Squad moving forward without anything buttoning. Like, you guys hire the right writers and the right directors, you know, the right crew. Like, for example, the DC animated universe is doing such an amazing job that I don't see what the problem is in bringing these guys into your movie universe. They clearly love the source material, which is the comics, and they are clearly doing it justice, right? So why aren't you guys just converting this into the movie areas? And I think that is something that James Gunn really does. Like, he appreciates the source material and he does not tamper with it in any crazy way, but he does such a beautiful job with it. I mean, Starro being the very first villain that the Justice League faced in their own comics run, like way back, and even in the animated comics that we know from, you know, when we were much younger. It was brought in this movie, the character was brought in this movie, and it was still done justice, like, properly. There was also one interesting thing about the movie, like with the way the story was told, the subtle use of VFX in some parts. I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, but you're going to watch it so that you will know what I'm talking about. I like the way it was used. It was clever. It was brilliant. Yo, a round of applause to James Gunn and his team. James Gunn delivered, and this is me not jumping the gun here. See what I did there? Yeah, I know you did. But really, gore, check. Action, check. Comedy, check. Comic books accuracy, check. A lot of things really tick the box for me in this movie, and I would definitely recommend it to you guys. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad gets an 8.5/10 from us here at GVN. Check out this video next to see some of our other dope reviews on the channel. And it's been your boy Tech for GVN. Have a good one. Peace.